Very happy to be sitting with Steve Black, business coach and professional, and he's going to tell you more about exactly what he does. He's probably got so many titles I couldn't do it justice, but really excited to be talking today and bring you guys a lot of value. I know Steve really works with a lot of businesses, different types of businesses, and really just coaches business owners on how to, get better and do better with their business. And so it's going to be awesome. Thank you for tuning in. But we'll get started. Steve, tell us a little bit about you, how you got, what caused you to do what you do and what you actually do.
Well, I'm the CEO and founder of BusinessSuccessTraining.com, and we're an internationally known training and seminar company. Actually started in the training and seminar industry in 1994 with a man named Tom Hopkins.
Nice.
I know that he's done a lot of training with Primerica, and at the time he had written a book called How to Master the Art of Selling. And if you want to learn sales skills and communications and the basics, fundamentals, you went to a Tom Hopkins seminar. And it was instrumental in me as a young man, getting the confidence after I had gotten fired from my first sales job, becoming a top producer. And when I was offered the opportunity to work with him and his company promoting seminars, I took advantage of it. And then I had the opportunity again in 1996 to meet and work with Brian Tracy.
Okay.
And if you don't know who Brian Tracy is, he, while I was with him, he authored about 40 different books on success, and there were literally 500,000 people around the world doing seminars and training, and it was just a great experience.
That's awesome. And so tell us a little bit more about what you do. So what do you actually, so you meet with business owners one-on-one, or do you do events, and what kind of training and education do you bring to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do some high-level coaching with business executives, but I'm not really positioned as a business coach. They'll bring me in as a consultant and advisor. Let's say there's a big transportation company, and they're trying to figure out how to connect the dots. Then we'll utilize their staff, or we'll leverage a local resource. Like here, I partner up with Digital, Maximize Digital with Chris Ann and Craig, and they're also founders of Lakeland Business Leaders, and just putting together projects that help the local and statewide and national businesses. But best known for our all-day seminars, known as the Success Summit Seminar, and that goes from Vancouver, Canada, to Miami, Florida, and everywhere in between. And we've had over 500,000 people go through the events. We, have nothing but positive comments, which I'm proud of, out on Facebook and the internet.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to do nowadays.
Yeah, especially all positive, right?
Yeah, well, I got one 2-star rating, but it was from a guy in Afghanistan that I've never met. So.
Oh, well, you can't really help that too much.
So our rating dropped from 5 stars to 4.8, but everything else is on the up and up. And at our events, people, connect with others. The networking's phenomenal. They get great ideas from my team and I on everything from how to set goals to communicate to close a sale. And what I'm going to do for anybody that comments on this, will tally it up in 24 hours, and I'll just give away a ticket for our big event.
There you go.
Lakeland. Yeah.
Well, make sure you give us a shout out.
Yeah. If you guys add a comment or a like, we'll throw you in the drawing. We'll announce that in 24 hours. I'll let you handle that. I'll donate it to the cause.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, see, that's why you should tune in, right?
Yeah.
So, well, that's awesome. So, how are people growing from what you teach and what you educate people on? In what areas do they grow most, or what areas do they,
Well, we position it as a business building event. So we'll have everybody from your professionals like attorneys and accountants to people that are in sales for payroll companies, transportation companies, a lot of real estate agents, but they all have one thing in common. They're in competitive niches. They're usually in businesses where 20% of the people are making 80% of the money or getting 80% of the results. And what we share with them are what's working. I mean, you can take 20 years to learn the secrets to success, or it can be condensed down to a single day, and that's what we try to do.
Awesome. So there's obviously some merit to learning from experience, but why not learn from other people's experiences?
Better believe it. OPE, it's a little bit shorter path. And any of the great speakers, whether it's Brian Tracy or Tony Robbins, it's a concept called modeling. Find out what the best people do, emulate it. Take the best, leave the rest, and that's what we try to bring to people. Because let's face it, a lot of A lot of times, you can be in a company and the top producer's not going to share his secrets.
Right.
He's looking at you as taking his business or his title. So they come to events like we do. It's really great, and the people at Lakeland, we usually do our big events in Orlando or Tampa, but we got so many calls through the Lakeland Business Leader group that we said, hey, let's throw together an event. So we have one September 15th that'll be at the Imperial Swan.
Awesome. And so what kind of got you, and we'll come back to that event, give you more information about that at the end. But what got you started on this route? What got you started wanting to help people really become successful and achieve their goals?
Yeah, well, I was like everybody else, you get out of college, you don't really know for sure what you want to do. You're offered salary jobs, commission jobs.
Right.
I gravitated towards sales, and I struggled my first 2 years in sales. I actually got fired from a commission-only situation. I was ready to go work on a fish boat in Alaska, be a bouncer in a nightclub. Anything except, deal with the rejection of sales and the money and everything else that came along with it. But I went to a Tom Hopkins seminar to change my life, and I learned how to set goals. I learned how to manage my time. I learned how to communicate with people. I learned the importance of listening, not just talking. And I had the more classes I went to, I realized that was my true passion. And when I was offered the opportunity to get into that, I jumped on it. That was 1994, which is 22 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So never look back. Huh?
No. But everybody that's in business has the same challenges. They need clear direction and goals. They need systems in place to manage their time and automate their follow-up, especially with all we're expected to do on social media.
Right.
And social media is a great playing field because you make the little business person compete with the biggest brands if they know what they're doing. But most people get frustrated with it. They don't have a roadmap. So I teach a 6-step process that starts with looking good and ends with automating and amplifying your message through advertisement, and it works.
Awesome. And so you work with a lot of different types of businesses, a lot of different types of people.
Yeah.
What would you say are the biggest challenges to a small business owner these days, and to large corporations? What would you say are the biggest challenges that you see people are facing?
Well, it's a broad question, but the challenges a lot of times are internal. I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, small business people, the retail shop, the loan officer who's trying to get ahead, the Primerica rep who's trying to help people and trying to build a team, and it's all the same. It's lack of focus or goals. Their competition isn't down the street. Their competition's in the mirror every morning. And I tell people, it's all about discipline, and discipline is doing what you should do when you should do it. Even if you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say I lost 50 pounds in the last.
Congratulations.
Yeah, in the last year and a half, and it all started with losing that 5 pounds, and making that decision when I was in the mirror at 297 pounds. I weighed 247 at 6'5". To lose that 5 pounds, to clean out the refrigerator, to drink my breakfast instead of eating it, and the only thing I regret about it is I didn't do it 10 years ago. I'm approaching 50, and I got more energy than a 23-year-old. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. I don't take offense to that.
No,
so
no offense again. But doubling or tripling your income is the same thing, and that's what a lot of people are saying. Okay, I own a business, it's not as profitable as I want. How do I triple my profits? Well, it starts with that decision to do it, and then what are you going to do differently? And usually it revolves around their marketing or sales activity. The old adage, if you do what you've been doing, you're going to get more of what you want. But habits are tough to break. I meet people that are still using paper systems versus electronic. I deal with people that are outsourcing things that they could take control of and do internally if they just knew the right tools.
So, from what I gather from that is, really personal development. You got to really work on yourself, but you got to make the decision. You got to decide that if you want more, that's what you're going to be focused on.
Absolutely.
And how do people? So let's say someone is they have a business and they're doing okay, but they want to go to the next level. What would you say are some things that they can do or implement or work on with that discipline to make sure that they get to the next level?
Well, again, it starts with goals, because if you don't have goals, any road will get you there. Okay. Then they've got to look at their resources and get the most out of them. And Usually that's their people, and like you say, personal development. That chair there is going to be worth less money a year from now than it is today.
Right.
A person, though, in an organization can be worth more
Awesome.
if you keep their esteem high and you train them. And the personal development or the corporate development, if somebody grows 1% a day for a year from now they're 365% better.
Right.
But wrong, because it compounds. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many thousands of people have literally been thinking about quitting their business, sometimes even quitting their lives,
Wow.
and it's just one thing that happens, one person they meet, and it turns around, and the next thing you know, they're the next, Steve Jobs or success story.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And so a lot of times, I mean, from my experience, what I've seen from various, if you want to become something, look for a person who has that, study them, and like you said, implement the things that they're doing.
That's right.
And you may do it in a little bit of a different way, but you can achieve that amount of success. And I'm a full believer in that the world is ours, and the world is our oyster. And if you have the discipline and the focus to go out there and just work hard and be consistent, I think that's a big thing. Would you agree that consistency is a huge piece of being successful? And just obviously you can do the same things over and over, but you'll get the same results. You might need to tweak what you're doing every once in a while, but being consistent, going out there every day, and working towards that goal and that dream, that's important as well.
Oh, I mean, we're approaching the NFL season, and some of the best people that have ever played football and have been involved in thousands of plays. They're on the field right now practicing blocking, tackling.
Right.
Being brilliant at the basics and never thinking that you're above that, so that you have that consistency, whether it's to get to the gym every day, drink more water, read, go to service. You've got to stick to the core. Everybody's looking for new and different, and while new and different's important, it's just as important as you say to be consistent on a day-to-day basis with the things that will move you forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so, what do you? Man, I just had a great question and I lost it.
That's all right. It'll come back to you.
Exactly.
So affirmations. So from now on, when that happens, you say, "It doesn't like me." I usually remember the questions.
I love that. Yeah. Affirmations are fantastic. Keeping that right mindset. Right. So what are some things? I know you've talked a lot about. You have talked a lot about social media.
Yeah.
So how do you see social media, or even more broadly? I know some of these are broad questions, but technology. How do you see that changing the way businesses function, relate to people, their clients, and everything like that?
Well, in a high-tech world, you want a high-touch approach, and we could easily get caught up in technology, and I'm a little better at this, or I got more likes on my Facebook page, or I got more interaction or views, but it's about the quality of contacts, and we can't forget that in most businesses, there's still got to be a personal touch. People, given their choice, would rather do business with people they know, like, and trust. And that's like, whether it's BNI or it's Lakeland Business Leaders or it's your local chamber or our seminar, it's when you meet somebody face to face, it's like, I know the guy, and you'd rather have your money. I was with a group of people, and I'd introduced them to a multi-line insurance person. And this lady says to me, the next time she sees me, she says, I met with Tracy Sile from Sile Insurance, and I gave her all my business. I gave her my commercial, I gave her my homeowner policy, I gave her my disability, my life, I gave her everything. And I go, well, why'd you decide to make the change? Did she save you money? She goes, she saved me some money and some stuff, but that wasn't it. It was that she took the time to meet with me, where my other agent said to me, when I said I want to meet you face to face, see who I'm giving my money to, he says, if I did that with all 300 people, I wouldn't have any time to run my business. So he lost a customer. She's talking, telling stories about it, and somebody like Sile Insurance, who has that customer service approach, is benefiting. And I think, to answer your question, that in a high-tech world, you still got to. It's a combination of knowing how to leverage technology, but also knowing how to communicate. And I found the lines kind of drawn at 35 years of age, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Younger people have grown up with a lot of the tech tools. They understand, to go ahead and, create a video or use Facebook Live. It's kind of intuitive, where, somebody my age or older, might struggle with it. But I grew up playing in the streets. If I have to have a conversation, we're gonna have a good time. Whether it's at a restaurant, it's a church, it's at a business meeting, I can engage you. And when you can combine the two, or you can learn to do that, you can literally write your own ticket.
Yeah, and I think that's so amazing that you touched on that, because I know as a millennial, that technology is a lot more natural for us. But at the same time, like we had discussion at our last LBL meeting about how that plays into the different generations and things.
Yeah.
But it's, even though millennials tend to be more tech savvy, it's still about relationship. It's still about branding. There was, and just from a financial point of view, there was an article came out that said if Google and Yahoo offered financial products, so many people would just naturally go to those because they already know those brands, they're household names. And so I think that's absolutely true, that, hey, having that relationship, is gonna help you get customers, but also retain customers. I know personally, one of my clients, I sent out a Christmas card last year.
Yeah.
And one of my clients said, hey, you were the only person that we received a Christmas card from.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was just trying to do something nice, but those personal touches, like you were saying,
I believe it.
so powerful. One thing that I've always, kind of on that note, I have a couple ideas, but the first thing is, when we talk about social media, one of the things I think a lot of people get confused with is just putting out ads versus putting out value. I think one of the things is that a lot of people, they get on social media, they think maybe it's easy just to pump an ad or something like that. But what are your thoughts on like doing just a generic ad versus putting out value and really building that value, giving that to people and attracting people that way?
Well, I mean, you already know the answer to that. We're at an interesting crossroads in time. A millennial, I don't even know how old you are, but somebody that's a millennial under 30 years of age, they don't want a phone call. If a 49-year-old guy is trying to market or sell to a millennial, I gotta reach on Instagram. I gotta reach on Snapchat. I gotta be transparent about it. You're gonna check me out. You're gonna see, am I a thought leader?
Right.
And then maybe I've earned the right to talk to you. And then we take the flip side. A millennial who likes to communicate digitally, if they're trying to deal with somebody that's 50, 60, or 70 years old, we probably want to either have a phone call or meet you face to face. And it may be at Bob Evans, but we got to go where how people want to be communicated, not what our preferred style is. So we're at a unique place in time. Yeah.
How do you feel that with social media and technology and the way it's advanced has affected communication in general? Because I feel that a lot of people use that almost as a crutch instead of having that face-to-face, instead of having that relationship, and almost affects like how we communicate with people, like how we have a conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are very intimidated now, at least I run across, from having just a conversation with someone and just free-flow talking. No, not because of social media, but because we're so used to just, hey, let me just type something real quick.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that is played out with communication in general, and how can we improve our communication with people and building those relationships? Do you have any like techniques for us, or?
Well, like I said, it's understanding how people want to be communicated with. My mother's 78 years old. She doesn't text.
Right.
So if you're trying to reach her with Primerica and talk to her about money issues, she doesn't. You got to meet her face to face. You got to first start with a phone call. You got to be able to remember somebody's name. I mean, I can give you a laundry list of things, but in the social media realm, it's all about relationships. And the big mistake people make is they sell too much out there. And you want to create interaction, and that's beyond the scope of today. But we covered at our workshops, we covered at the event. Because if you have engagement, if people are liking your post, if they're sharing them, if they're commenting, more people are going to see them. Facebook's algorithm is very complex, but the reality is, just because you're connected to 1,000 friends, and you put something out there, let's say about your opportunity meeting or your Lakeland business leaders meeting, only about 70 people, plus minus, are going to see it on your friends. But if they've been liking your photos, if they've been engaging, if they've been answering questions, that number can go to 12%, 15%, 20%. And then to amplify that, you can run ads, and you can reach people, that you aren't connected. So it's an extremely powerful medium. And what's happening with businesses and people, it used to be the 20-80 rule of success. 20% of people make 80%. It's like the 10-90 because either you get it or you don't get it.
Right.
And you can't ignore it because it's not going to go away. We're connected, love it or hate it. You got to be transparent.
Yeah. And
if you don't know what you're doing, you could waste a lot of time and money. And I've seen a lot of businesses do that, and then they give up, or they get bad information. So, like you say, learn from people that know. We've got some things going on, and if you get one good idea,
go with it.
You might increase your sales by 10%, but you might double them, you might triple them.
Absolutely.
Work harder, work smarter rather than harder.
Right, exactly. And I think that's tracking what your success rate is part of that discipline and knowing what things to focus on. It kind of all goes back to what we started out talking with. But
well, it's like Brian Tracy used to say. He says, "Inspect what you expect." So knowing those numbers and and do you have to do more of this or less? And when you look at a SWOT analysis and the strength, the weakness, the opportunity, the threats, it's pretty simple. Brian Tracy said in his book Focal Point, do more of what is working and then do less of what's not working. But people resist change. I don't care whether it's implement a new technology like Facebook Live, or it's to change how they communicate with people. So you got to embrace change. That's the only thing constant. Success in the world is more like a river than a lake. And if you just have that attitude where you're going to grow 1% a day, you're open to change, open to improvements, you're going to dominate because past success doesn't equal present success. I mean, look at Tiger Woods. Was the greatest golfer, and now he's on the sidelines, and naturally that's going to happen with age. The competition gets better. People a lot of times, I'm sure you've met them. Oh, I'm doing okay.
Right.
Well, you're not standing still. You're going up or down.
Right.
And which part of that do you want to be on? So that would be my advice.
Awesome. And so I think just right on that, you have to the person. Typically, when I look at a successful person in business, they are completely different than the person they were when they started. And that is because they have been open to change. They've been open to self-reflection. And primarily we say it's basically a personal development program with a compensation plan attached.
Absolutely.
Because you have to get better. The employee person that you were, that most people were taught to be is not the person who's going to run a successful $1 million business.
Yeah.
And what would be your advice for someone brand new, someone who's just getting started? I know we kind of talk about personal development, things like that, but someone who's got an idea, maybe they're deciding whether, hey, should I jump on this, should I do it? What would your advice be to them? What would you say to that person?
Brand new to business?
Yeah.
Go for it. It's like Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 1,000% of the shots you don't take. And like your company, Primerica, I mean, here's a great opportunity for someone to, have a six-figure opportunity without having to come up with $500,000.
Right.
You go to a business broker and you say, I want to make $100,000 a year. He's like, okay, who's going to write the check for $500,000? Who's going to sign the lease? Who's going to take care of the payroll taxes? And when you have mentorship, and my advice would be get as much training as you can early on. A lot of people have this attitude like, well, I'll do more like your seminar when I can afford it.
Right.
No, you do it now, and then you reap the rewards all the way.
Right.
It's like, when you have a car and you let it run down, then all of a sudden you get it cleaned up to sell it.
Right.
Why don't you just keep it nice the whole time, or keep your house nice the whole time?
Right.
So you can enjoy the benefits as well.
Yeah. And I agree. I think that, personal development, a lot of people, even before they get started in business, are starting now to want to implement those things. I think that's kind of a shift in the business these days, and just our mentality. But we're wanting more out of life, and with the way the economy's going, the country's going, everything like that, more and more people are turning to doing businesses, whatever it is, even if it's a part-time business on the side. And so doing that personal development is just, absolutely huge. So investing in that mentor and programs like Steve brings. If money's tight, make the investment. The investment yourself is the only investment you get 100% guaranteed return on, as long as you implement it, right? So, definitely don't be afraid to do that. Any final words? I want to talk a little bit about what you have coming up, but any final words for the people out there listening? And, tuning in?
Yeah. Well, start with a clear game plan. Awesome. If you don't have written goals, and that's the key, take it from here to here, get them in writing. Yeah. I don't care whether that's your iPad or a yellow pad. If something happens when you think it through. You say, okay, well, I want to earn six figures. Well, how are you going to do that? Where are your new leads going to come from? What systems are you going to have in place? Then, figure out how you're going to get an extra 2 to 4 hours out of day through automation. And then, you've got to break down your business process. Are people walking through the retail environment? How are you going to reach them? Is it going to be over social media? Yeah. And, whoever's dealing with the customer, there's one thing they got to be good at, and that's, explaining things and then asking for the business. And you got to do it with a smile on your face. And attitude, we can teach you all the skills in the world, but if you don't have a great attitude, if you're not optimistic, there's an old story about there's a glass is half full. Right. And what do they? And the pessimist, when he sees a glass that's half full, he says it's half full. Yeah. The optimist, what's a pessimist say?
Well, it's half empty.
And what's an engineer say?
No idea.
Wrong size glass.
I like it.
Anyways. And sometimes, your investment isn't even money. It's like we're doing some Lakeland business leaders and myself, we're putting together a free event. And awesome. It's really to bring some of the members together, to network, to learn. It's going to be on August 18th. Okay. It's going to be right here in Lakeland. We've got a sponsor, Allen & Company. Awesome. And they're going to, it's going to be at their facility at 1401 Florida Avenue. We set up 2 sessions. They're the same session, but it's either 7:30 or noon, because we know different people have different schedules. The 7:30 session is going to go to about 9 a.m. on August 18th, and then we're going to do the same thing from 12 to 1:30. So let's say, one person has to stay back and watch the shop, and the other partner could go to the event, and then they can switch off. Attendance is really limited. We only can accommodate about 60 people. Yeah. And if people want to RSVP, we set up a link. It's bit.ly/Lakeland Workshop. And we'll post that in the comments here. But what I encourage them to do is RSVP. If you haven't met a lot of the people in Lakeland Business Leader, or you've been at the other groups, come out, because there's going to be people you know, there's going to be people you don't know. I'm going to be there personally. Chris Ann Long is going to be there, and some of the folks from Maximize Digital. And we're going to have Stephen from Allen & Company, and hopefully,
I'll be there
you
as well.
And some of the other folks. So I'm just real excited about it and be able to help the community of Lakeland grow, because it really is a great, tight-knit community. People care about each other, and I'd like more business success to come. My belief is, if you help a small business person be successful, everything else flows from that. Yeah. The individual business person that can double their productivity, they're going to buy cars, they're going to buy houses, they're going to drive our economy, and whatever happens at the election, Florida will remain strong.
Awesome. And how can people get a hold of you? Because you do some one-on-one, right, as well, or you'll come into a business at least and do some, game planning. And so how can people reach out to you if they're interested in getting a hold of you?
Yeah, well, my mobile business card, the way to connect with me on the social networks, and this is another thing I recommend from everybody, is steveblack.biz, and we'll post that. I wish it was a .com, right? But somebody else already claimed it. I offered the guy about $50,000, and he kind of chuckled because he said he gets more business than that just off of the calls that come in. But if you would have went to jebbush.com during the elections, it redirected to Trump's website via a third party. So another bit of advice, if you don't know your name is .com, make sure you register it. But if you want to connect with me, steveblack.biz, we'll post that. Or you can reach out to our office at 770-375-5208. In Florida, if you have a team, a leads group, a chamber, or organization, we might even be able to get myself or one of our trainers out there free of charge to share some ideas on success. And we're happy to do it to connect with the people in the community.
Yeah, that's great. And I know I've seen Steve before, and they really do bring a lot of valuable information. Obviously, in 30 minutes, it's a little tough to do that. But definitely want to give you guys a chance to meet Steve and get to know him. Definitely reach out, make it to that event. And that's the one we're giving the free ticket away for, right?
Well, actually, what we're doing with this RSVP, and everybody can go for free as long as you're one of the first 60 people to RSVP. That's bit.ly/Lakeland Workshop. That'll take you to the Eventbrite page. All that'll be posted. And then make sure you comment or like this or share the Facebook Live with people as long as you're showing some kind of interaction. What Scott's going to do is he's going to gather all the names, and we'll announce it live on the Lakeland Business Leader page tomorrow. Who's going to win a ticket for the Success Summit seminar on September 15th, which is an all-day event. Tuition's normally $500 to $700, and we're going to give one of those away for free. And if they can't use it in Lakeland, we'll be happy to accommodate them in Orlando, Tampa, or Ocala, or one of the other cities.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Help. Yeah.
All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much. I really appreciate it and bringing the value to our small, tight-knit community here. And guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Wednesday. And make sure you come to these events. Reach out to Steve if you have any questions. And have a great day.
All right. See you on August 18th.